Welcome back. We're truly glad you're here with us today for another exploration.
Absolutely. Whether this is your first time joining or you've been with us before, welcome.
As always, we love hearing from you. You can reach out with questions or feedback. That's ACIM at theworldharmonyproject.org.
And find us on TikTok at the World Harmony Project.
Today, we're opening Lesson 160.
Yeah, this is a really powerful one.
And the lesson is titled, I am at home. Fear is the stranger here. Let's just hear the lesson in its entirety.
Okay. Lesson 160. I am at home. Fear is the stranger here. Fear is a stranger to the ways of love. Identify with fear, and you will be a stranger to yourself, and thus you are unknown to you. What is yourself remains an alien to the part of you which thinks that it is real, but different from yourself. Who could be sane in such a circumstance? Who but a madman could believe he is what he is not, and judge against himself? There is a stranger in our midst who comes from an idea so foreign to the truth he speaks a different language, looks upon a world truth does not know, and understands what truth regards as senseless. Stranger yet, he does not recognize to whom he comes, and yet maintains his home belongs to him, while he is alien now who is at home. And yet, how easy it would be to say, this is my home, here I belong, and will not leave because a madman says I must. What reason is there for not saying this? What could the reason be except that you would ask this stranger in to take your place and let you be a stranger to yourself? No one would let himself be dispossessed so needlessly unless he thought there were another home more suited to his tastes. Who is the stranger? Is it fear, or you who are unsuited to the home which God provided for his Son? Is fear his own, created in his likeness? Is it fear that love completes and is completed by? There is no home can shelter love and fear. They cannot coexist. If you are real, then fear must be illusion, and if fear is real, then you do not exist at all. How simply, then, the question is resolved. Who fears has but denied himself and said, I am the stranger here, and so I leave my home to one more like me than myself, and give him all I thought belonged to me. Now is he exiled of necessity, not knowing who he is, uncertain of all things but this, that he is not himself, and that his home has been denied to him. What does he search for now? What can he find? A stranger to himself can find no home wherever he may look, for he has made return impossible. His way is lost, except a miracle will search him out and show him that he is no stranger now. The miracle will come, for in his home his self remains. It asked no stranger in and took no alien thought to be itself. And it will call its own into itself in recognition of what is its own. Who is the stranger? Is he not the one yourself calls not? You are unable now to recognize this stranger in your midst, for you have given him your rightful place. Yet is yourself as certain of its own as God is of his Son. He cannot be confused about creation. He is sure of what belongs to him. No stranger can be interposed between his knowledge and his Son's reality. He does not know of strangers. He is certain of his Son. God's certainty suffices. Whom he knows to be his Son belongs where he has set his Son forever. He says, answered you who ask, who is the stranger? Hear his voice assure you, quietly and sure, that you are not a stranger to your Father, nor is your Creator stranger made to you. Whom God has joined remain forever one, at home in him, no stranger to himself. Today we offer thanks that Christ has come to search the world for what belongs to him. His vision sees no strangers, but beholds his own and joyously unites with them. They see him as a stranger, for they do not recognize themselves. Yet as they give him welcome, they remember. And he leads them gently home again, where they belong. Not one does Christ forget. Not one he fails to give you to remember, that your home may be complete and perfect as it was established. He has not forgotten you. But you will not remember him until you look on all as he does. Who denies his brother is denying him, and thus refusing to accept the gift of sight by which his self is clearly recognized, his home remembered, and salvation come.
Wow. That phrase, fear is the stranger here. It just,
It's saying right off the bat that peace isn't something external you need to chase. It's your default setting. Your home is in God.
And fear is the one that doesn't belong. It challenges that deeply ingrained feeling that the world is our home, and fear is just a necessary survival tool.
This lesson says, no, fear is the intruder. It's this alien thought system that somehow tricked us into feeling like we're the ones who are lost outside looking in.
And the stakes are high. The lesson points out, if fear is real, then you aren't. That forces a choice. Which identity are you claiming? The fearful illusion, or the self eternally safe in God?
It makes the concept of atonement absolutely central here. Not atonement as punishment, but as acceptance. Accepting the truth of who God created you to be perfectly innocent. Sinless.
Exactly. If there's no sin in reality, then guilt has no basis. And if guilt is baseless, then fear, which springs from guilt, just dissolves. It can't stand.
Accepting our inherent sinlessness becomes the direct route back home. Because if you're guiltless, you are safe. And if you're safe, fear literally cannot live inside you. It has to be external, foreign.
Okay, but then the big question arises, if fear truly is a stranger, why does it feel so familiar? Why does it seem woven into the fabric of our lives? Why is keeping that sense of perfect holiness of being at home so difficult?
That's the ego's game, isn't it? It has built this whole perceived reality, this stage set, specifically designed to make the stranger feel like the host.
Right. To make the self, our true identity, feel like the alien. It's a complex system, but it starts from that one impossible idea. The separation from God could even happen. That single thought error generates guilt.
And from that guilt, this intricate web of illusions gets spun out, all designed to keep the ego's version of reality going, to keep us from questioning it.
Maybe we can unpack some of those mechanisms, not just theoretically, but how they show up in the world, in structures that we interact with daily, the ways they reinforce being separate, vulnerable, far from home.
Let's do that. One of the foundational pieces is the ego's idea of sin and guilt. It defines sin not just as a mistake, but as something that makes you fundamentally flawed, deserving punishment.
And that feeling of being fundamentally flawed creates this pervasive guilt. It's like a background hum of not good enough or waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Which keeps fear constantly fueled. If you believe you're inherently bad, you're always anticipating some kind of consequence, some loss. It reinforces that feeling of being unsafe, unworthy of your true home. We see reflections of this in systems focused on blame and punishment, right?
Definitely. Think about legal systems, certain religious interpretations, even how kids are sometimes taught right and wrong through fear of consequences, rather than understanding inherent worth. It mirrors that ego pattern.
Then there's the ego's trick of making us identify with the body, convincing us this physical form is who we are.
And bodies are inherently vulnerable, aren't they? They get sick, they age, they feel pain, they die.
So if you think you are your body, your entire existence becomes about protecting this fragile thing. Seeking safety through external means, health, appearance, possessions.
And think of the industries built on that. Beauty, fashion, fitness, even parts of medicine. They often focus intensely on the body as the primary self, something to be fixed or preserved against inevitable decline. It ties your worth and safety to something temporary.
Reinforcing that feeling of being small, separate, needing things outside yourself to be okay.
Another big one is how the ego uses time, especially the past. It constantly replays past hurts, perceived failures, and projects them onto the future.
It keeps you convinced that what happened before must dictate what comes next. Guilt acts like the glue, holding on to past mistakes and making you anticipate punishment or repetition.
It traps you, keeps you out of the only time safety actually exists, the present moment. Think about economic forecasts based entirely on past trends, political arguments stuck on historical grievances, even just personal regrets replaying in our minds.
All ways of keeping the past alive and making the future seem predetermined, often fearfully so.
And the world itself, as we perceive it, the Course calls it an illusion, a projection of our own inner state, our insane wishes and judgments.
Meaning, the world we see isn't objective reality, but a mirror reflecting the ego's beliefs back at us. Separation, competition, scarcity, lack.
Right. It's designed to convince us that happiness and safety are out there in getting the right job, the perfect partner, enough money, the right status, which keeps us constantly seeking, never finding lasting peace within.
Consumer culture thrives on this. Nationalism creates us versus them. Media often highlights conflict and lack. It all reinforces the idea that the real world is tough, competitive, and you need to fight for your place.
Then you have projection and judgment. These are core defense mechanisms for the ego.
We take the parts of ourselves we don't like, often our own fear or guilt, and we push them away, seeing them in other people instead.
And to justify that projection, we need judgment. We create enemies, label groups as other, find reasons to be angry or afraid of them. It keeps the focus off our own internal state.
Social media can be a real hotspot for this, can it? Political divides, too. It feels safer to point fingers outwards than to look at the stranger, the fear within ourselves.
Conflict in general serves the ego. It proves separation is real. Even special relationships meant to be sources of love can get twisted by the ego.
How so?
They can become ways to get needs met out of fear, alliances against a perceived hostile world, or even battlegrounds where we try to win security by controlling or sacrificing the other person.
You see echoes in international relations often framed as power struggles or intense rivalries in business or sports. Even codependent personal relationships build on fear rather than freedom.
Finally, there are magic thoughts. This is any belief that we have a will separate from God's, that we can somehow make illusions real or control outcomes in opposition to love's reality.
Like thinking technology alone will fix deep societal issues, or a new political system will magically create utopia without any inner shift.
Exactly. Or even just the constant chase for instant gratification through consumerism, believing the next purchase will finally bring lasting happiness. It's magic because it promises fulfillment through external means, obscuring the real goal, recognizing our inherent wholeness, and keeping us looking outside.
It's quite a system. And again, the point isn't that society or these structures are bad.
No, not at all. It's about awareness. Recognizing how these external forms reflect and reinforce the ego's internal thought system, the system that makes fear feel like home and peace feel foreign.
Seeing these mechanisms clearly is the start of loosening their hold. It's not about fighting the world, but changing our minds about the world, seeing the illusion for what it is.
And the lesson provides the direct path back, accepting the atonement for ourselves, which again just means accepting our reality as God created us innocent, sinless.
Because if sin isn't real, if we're fundamentally guiltless, then fear has absolutely no ground to stand on. It's baseless.
The practice then becomes this constant, gentle reorientation. When a fearful thought arises, and you identify it. You see it.
You acknowledge it, but you don't invite it in for tea. You recognize it as the stranger.
Right. And you gently affirm the truth. I am at home. Fear is the stranger here. It's a moment-by-moment correction of perception.
Moving away from the self-attack inherent in fear and guilt towards the self-acceptance that mirrors God's love for us, and crucially, extending that acceptance outwards.
Yes. Seeing others as innocent too. Remembering they're also at home in God, even if their actions seem fearful or attacking. That perceived attack is their illusion, their stranger speaking.
Extending forgiveness to them, forgiving the illusion you perceive, actually strengthens your own sense of safety. It breaks down the ego's world of projection and blame.
So practically, how can you live this? Maybe start the day with the affirmation, I am at home. Fear is the stranger here.
And then throughout the day, when anxiety, worry, or judgment pops up, pause. Just for a second. Silently repeat it. Observe the feeling. Notice how acknowledging it as foreign starts to shift your relationship to it.
And when challenging situations arise, consciously reframe. Instead of reacting from that default fear place, remind yourself, fear is the stranger here. I am at home in God's peace. See how that changes your internal state, allowing for a different response.
It's about using the affirmation not as wishful thinking, but as an anchor pulling your mind back to the bedrock reality of your safety in God, regardless of surface appearances.
This lesson, Lesson 160, is such a profound reminder of where our true security lies. Not out there, but right here, in God's love, which is our home.
Fear is the imposter, the illusion we've mistaken for reality. Embracing our inherent innocence through accepting the atonement is the key to showing fear the door.
It really is a continuous practice, a conscious turning away from the noisy stranger of fear towards the quiet certainty of being home in God. It empowers you to live from trust and joy.
Knowing your safety isn't conditional, it's guaranteed, eternally.
As we wrap up our thoughts on Lesson 160, I am at home, fear is the stranger here, that core message feels incredibly grounding. It's like a constant reference point, isn't it?
It really is, especially when the world seems to present so much evidence for fear. This lesson reminds you that true security isn't dependent on those external things at all. It's internal, it's inherent.
That phrase, fear is the stranger here, I find it incredibly calming. Just pausing and really considering that fear is not native to my being. It reframes anxiety immediately. It's gentle, but firm, a reminder of truth.
And it shines a light on how those ego structures we talked about, identifying with the body, societal guilt, competition, focusing on past future, how they all work together to make us forget we're already home.
Exactly. To make fear seem like the normal resident, not the intruder. Recognizing those mechanisms is so powerful because it lessens their grip. You see the game.
It's not about battling them, just seeing them clearly as the illusions they are. As the lesson says, the stranger only stays if you give him your place.
We really appreciate you exploring this with us today. Your presence and willingness make these explorations meaningful. We'll be back tomorrow with the next lesson.
Until then, perhaps just practice noticing. Notice those ego-based structures during your day in your own thoughts and interactions in news headlines. Observe, without judgment, how they might try to pull you into feeling separate or afraid. See how the world seems built to reinforce fear, loss, separation, and just gently remember, fear is a stranger here. See you tomorrow.